Dear students, welcome to the class English Grammar with Jeevan sir. Today, dear students, I have just brought the short and sweet notes on active and passive voice. Let's try to understand it. It's an important part in English grammar which helps you to empower your English, which helps you to make your English better, whether you are talking about speaking or writing. Let's talk about it. Active and passive voice. At first, try to know something about active voice. Means what is called active voice. Every English sentence which has at first subject, then verb at least. It means to say that all the sentences which we speak and write and see in our daily life which has subject at first then verb, which is the structure of positive sentence. Normally, I don't think so that I need to explain subject now here, because in earlier videos I have taught you how to recognize subject, what is called subject of the sentence. A subject that does the work or the answer from the Hindi sentence with the help of kaun or kisne, that means who, is always subject of the sentence. Verb, as you know, the action which is done in the sentence is called verb. And in Hindi sentences, we happen to speak verb at the end of the Hindi sentence by default. For an example, Raju wahan jata hai. So the last word of the sentence is hai, but hai is not supposed to be a word, because the definition of word is combination of alphabet which is meaningful, but hai is no more a meaningful word, so leave it. Then the remains jata. So jata is the verb. In such a sentence, we just focus on subject who does a piece of work. Yes, in active sentence we just focus on subject who does that particular work. We do not focus on the work which he does. That means to say that we want to highlight only subject in such kinds of sentences. For an example, Raju washes my clothes. So it is not the matter that clothes are washed. The matter is that my clothes I do not wash. Raju washes my clothes. That means that I want to focus on this particular point. That becomes secondary for me. It becomes particular thing which I want to highlight, that it's Raju who washes the clothes of mine. Look at the structure of active sentence. It may be positive, negative and interrogative as well, but remember, verb will come after subject in active sentences. You have to take care of these things. Here Raju is active and he does here the work. Second, I will teach you. Look at subject I and verb teach. So wherever you see verb is just after subject, that means subject then verb, that particular sentence we call active sentence. I hope you must have understood. The video a little bit be lengthier today because I am going to explain active and passive voice entirely. So have patience please for this. Passive voice. We use passive voice for two things. At first, in state of knowing about the definition of passive voice, I am just going to tell you why do we need to use passive voice in English when we can do the things with active voice. So what is the use of passive voice here? Look at, when there is no subject or doer in a Hindi sentence but work is there, in particularly translation, so many sentences are there in Hindi where we speak a particular sentence without subject. How? Look at, पानी पिया जाता है, कल वहां भोजन बांटा गया. So these sentences we speak in our daily life as well. But things to remember, these sentences do not have any subject. Look at, पानी पिया जाता है, कौन वह काम करता है, it is not given. कल वहाँ भोजन बांटा गया, who did this या who distributed a meal or food, not given. And you know very well, in English sentence, it is necessary to have a subject. Without subject, we can never think of composing a sentence in English. But in Hindi, it can be done. So when it comes to translation of a Hindi sentence into English, if you see a sentence is without subject, but the work is being done there. Look at, jana is the verb, but subject is not given. In such cases, we need to use passive voice, number one. Number two, when there is subject, verb, and an object in an English sentence, but we want to focus on object instead of subject. Second thing, we are in need of using passive voice at the time when there is subject, verb, object in active sentence. But we are going to use not active sentence, but we are going to use passive sentence instead of using subject. It means to say that you want to focus or you want to highlight on object, not on subject. In earlier sentence, we particularly in active sentence, we were focusing on subject, but here we in passive voice we want to focus on work. In such cases, we use passive voice. And just because of objects being active, here it is called passive voice, because here we are not going to talk about or we are not going to highlight subject, we are going to highlight here object. This is why it is called passive voice. For an example, my clothes are washed by Raju. This is the passive voice form of the earlier sentence we took in active sentence. Look at, my clothes are washed. That means to say that I want to focus on this particular point, focusing on my clothes are washed. It is secondary thing for me by whom it is washed, but the focusing, I am focusing on it, that my clothes are washed. Second, you will be taught by me. It means to say that this particular point, from you will be taught, from you to taught, that is my focusing point here. It doesn't matter by whom. This is why it is called this is why it is called a passive sentence. So dear student, let's try to know something about some permanent rules which you have to take care in your mind, or which you have to remember at the time of converting a active sentence into passive one. These rules you need to learn and start learning it from right now. Then they will help you in the examination. It is impossible just to learn them one day before the exam. At least you learn a single room one day, then second one you take 1 or 2 days. In this way, because it is well said in English, Rome was not built in a day. You can't learn the things on your fingertips in a day. Let's talk about what are those basic rules which you have to take care at the time of converting an active sentence into a passive. First rule is that, as you know, third form transitive verb. Yes, everywhere in passive voice you have not to be worried for the form of verb. The form of verb will always be third form. And remember, passive voice is made only of transitive verbs. Transitive verbs, you must be getting confused what is called transitive verbs. There are two kinds of verbs in English: transitive verb and intransitive verb. Transitive verb is the verb which is just followed by direct object. Means earlier in the structure of English sentence I taught you O for object. An object is known with the help of two words, kya or kise. So the answer of kya is always direct object. If in this way you have not understood what is transitive verb, let me clear it more with the example. For an example, earlier example you saw in active sentence especially, what was Raju washes my clothes. So look at washes. Just after washes, it is necessary to mention what does he wash. So wash is the verb which is followed by something, some object. That is called transitive verb. For an example, there are so many verbs which need not any kind of object after them. For an example, if you say, I will sleep here. So look at, when you use sleep word, you need not use, and nobody will ask you what sleep. Sleep means they know a process of just taking rest or lying on the back. But if you say, I will teach, everybody will say what? And you will have to use something after teach. That is called transitive verb in simple. So remember, we need to use third form of the verb always in passive voice. Second, subject is made object and object is made subject in passive voice. Remember, wherever you see or you have to translate or convert an active sentence into passive, it is necessary for the student to have the knowledge of subject, verb and object. If you have not watched my earlier videos, you can find it, or you can search, you can go back to the videos and see them, that how do we recognize subject, verb, object, manner, place, time and region. SVOMPTR structure of English sentence I have given. In this way you will come to know. So this is why earlier I gave you the videos on subject, object, manner, place, time, region, not directly on active and passive voice. This is the region. Look at what will be the process of changing a subject into object or object into subject. It means to say that changing subject. Look at I, we, they, you, he, she, it and noun. They are the subject in active sentence. Remember, in active sentence, these means one out of these will be subject. Noun means name. And object, when they will be converted into object, I will become me, we will become us, they will become them, you will remain you, he will become him, she will become her, it will become it, and noun, that means name, will remain name. There will be no changes in name. What does it mean? It means to say that when you convert subject, look at Raju. Raju has been converted here into object, but there was no change in the name of Raju. Raju will remain Raju. Noun will remain noun. Second, look at this sentence in active sentence was I will teach you. You can see the example in active voice. The second example which I gave you, I will teach you. And this is the passive voice of I will teach you. So here what happened? Look at I became object. When I was subject, it was I. When I was object, it was me. Because it is subjective case, subject always comes from subjective case and object comes from objective case. At the time of I's being objective, it becomes me. This is why here we have written by me. In case of not getting, today I will mention my contact number as well over there, especially my WhatsApp. In case of you are not getting something clearly, you can WhatsApp me. Okay, I will definitely answer to you, or will try to clear your doubts. In the same way, if somewhere in active sentence we find me as object, obviously we will find, while translating or converting it into passive voice, if object is being converted into, because subject becomes object, object becomes subject, so me will become I in case of converting. You will come to know at the end when we will start solving the questions. Rule number third will be, by is used before objective case at the end. Look at here, we used by. By is used at the end before objective case. When you translate or convert subject into object, just before them we will use by at the end. It is the third rule of passive voice. Next, tense related rules. Let's try to know. Present indefinite is converted into is, are, am and verb third form. How do you know whether in the active sentence present indefinite has been used? You will find either verb first form or with it s oblique es. So remember, it is to be converted into is, are, am. Helping verb will be used in passive voice with third form. Third form will be used everywhere, as you know, in the very first rule I taught you the same thing. Second, present continuous is, are, am, ing. If you see is, are, am, ing, it is converted is, are, am plus being. This one is used, then third form. Present perfect has oblique have plus third form, it will be converted into has oblique have plus been is used here in passive voice. If the sentence is in present perfect continuous, has oblique have plus been plus verb ing, it is the identification. Here the identification have been written by me of the particular tense. There is no changes in it, or it is not made, or it is not converted. Past indefinite tense, it means if the sentence has second form, it is changed while passive voice, was oblique were, then third form. Past continuous, was, were plus verb ing, was, were with being. Past perfect, had plus third form. In passive voice, it will be had been plus third form. Past perfect continuous, had been plus verb ing. There is no changes, or it is not made at all into passive voice. Future indefinite, if will and shall with will oblique shall with verb first form, there is only one thing you have to use, that is be. Will oblique shall plus be. Future continuous tense, will oblique shall plus bing. There is no changes, or it is not made into passive voice. Remember, future perfect, will oblique shall plus have plus third form, will have plus been. Only one thing you have to use, then third form. Future perfect continuous, it is not made. What is the identity of future perfect continuous? Will oblique shall plus have plus been plus ing. That's all. So look at the example, try to understand and try to know about them. First, I drink a tea. Look at subject I, verb drink, a tea is object. The first and foremost thing, object is converted into subject, a tea. Now verb first form has been used, that means to say that it is present indefinite. Is, according to tea, is third form. Drink third form, drunk, and at the end by. I becomes here me. Why? Because I was subjective case here. While converting it into passive voice, it will be object, and for object, as you know, object is taken from objective case, and you just go and see this objective case of I, it will be me. Second, Raju was reading books. So at first, books object will be taken earlier as in place of subject, then were. Here it was, here it will be were. Why? Because it here was has been used according to Raju, because Raju was subject, but here when we make object as subject, it is plural, and with plural we use were. being, because as it is continuous tense, being read by Raju. Had she bought a pen? Had a pen being bought by her? Look at, even the sentence in active, it is positive sentence, negative sentence, or interrogative sentence, it will remain the same. I did not write a letter. A letter was not written by me. And one more special note here you have to take care. Modal verbs are followed by only be. Means if you see the modal verb, I have already given you the video on modal verbs. What are modal verbs? Can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, could, dare not, need not, had, better, used to. In case of such kinds of sentences, and you, if you have to translate or convert the sentence into passive voice, remember only be you have to use with third form. How? She can teach this lesson. This lesson can be taught by her. Hope you must have understood. The video is a little bit lengthier today, but I think that the notes or specific notes on active and passive voice can easily be cleared by you after going through these kinds of notes. Thank you.